Almost immediately following the 9/11 attacks, people from all over the country rushed to Ground Zero to help with cleanup and recovery efforts. Now many of those people have become seriously ill or even died. News 8's Mike Thompson has the story of a Holmen woman who volunteered in the aftermath and 10 years later is still struggling with health issues.
Ned, give me your
Just
phone.
like almost every other American, Judy Wolf of Holmen remembers exactly where she was and what she was doing on September 11th, 2001.
I was getting ready to go to work because I worked in the school district in the nurse's aide, so I was in the high school. And I was just getting ready to go, and I had the TV on, and I was watching, and that's when I saw the first plane hit.
Judy wanted to believe it was just an accident, but she and the rest of the world would quickly find out it wasn't.
It was unbelievable. And then when the towers came down, it was terrible. Everybody was just sober and watching TV. That's all they did.
Within hours of the towers falling, the American Red Cross put out its first calls for volunteers. Judy turned them down at first because of the required 3-week commitment. She had 3 young children at home at the time. Eventually, though, she agreed to go, and on October 25th, 2001, she arrived in New York City.
You could smell it way before you got there. You could smell the odors were just, I mean, you'd be gagging. It was so bad, strong, coughing, and it was bad. It was just unreal. I mean, it's just like this whole street down there. That's all you could see was destruction.
Judy spent the next several weeks working one-on-one with people affected by the tragedy. She was stationed about 4.5 blocks from Ground Zero.
There was one little girl that sticks in my head. She'd sit real quiet off in the corner with her mom, and we went over and gave her a teddy bear, and she goes, "You know, my daddy died. He's not going to come back home." That was hard.
But little did Judy know, in a sense, she too was becoming a victim of 9/11.
I got sick about 4 days before I was supposed to come home. I started getting really bad cough, sore throat, sinuses were hurting really bad.
Judy says she and the other volunteers weren't given the option to wear a mask, so no one did. In fact, she says they were told they had nothing to worry about.
You'd be black every time you'd walk outside. And dust and stuff, when we'd come in, we'd have to wash off, and uniforms would get dirty. And
Weeks after arriving back home, Judy was put on permanent disability from her job.
After I got home, it just got worse. The cough got worse, and I had infection a lot. My white count was way up. I got mono twice. I had sinus infection constantly. I still get them constantly.
Since then, Judy has been diagnosed with reactive airway dysfunctioning syndrome, and life hasn't been the same. She's on 10 different medications twice a day now.
I have an inhaler I have to take with me wherever I go, because I can't be anywhere where there's dust. I can't use cleaners in the house. My son will clean the house for me, and I have to, be out of the rooms where the dust is. I can't work outside in the gardens because of the mold and mildew in the grass and stuff.
Judy is one of thousands that some are calling the forgotten victims of 9/11. Many have died of cancer, and others like Judy are still struggling with respiratory-related illnesses. They blame the city of New York for doing nothing to prevent them from breathing in toxic dust.
When the towers came down, everything got pulverized. And that all went out into the air. So it was asbestos, body parts, fuel from the plane parts, plastics, paper, everything. It all pulverized together, and all that stuff went in the air, and that's what you were breathing in.
And now, as we all mark the 10th anniversary of the attacks and then go about our daily lives, Judy knows she'll have a constant reminder of that day with her for the rest of her life.
A lot of people don't realize the illnesses that are still occurring because of 9/11. And sure, a lot of people died on that day, but there's still people dying because of that day. Just remember, all of us are still ill, and there's many more victims of 9/11 every year, and it's going to continue.
Judy was part of a recent settlement and just started receiving compensation this year to help deal with her health issues.